Yet another tennis player has been suspended for doping, this time 29th ranked WTA player Dayana Yastremska. The Ukrainian has a career high ranking of 21 and has won 2 WTA titles. The International Tennis Federation announced the suspension in a statement that reads, Dayana Yastremska has been provisionally suspended under Article 8.31 of the 2020 Tennis Anti-Doping Program, pending determination of the charge against her at a full hearing pursuant to Article 8 of the program. Ms. Yastremska, a 20-year-old player from Ukraine, provided an out-of-competition urine sample on November 24, 2020. That sample was sent to the World Anti-Doping Agency accredited laboratory in Montreal, Canada for analysis, and was found to contain mesterolone metabolite. Mesterolone is a non-specified substance which is prohibited under Category S1 of the 2020 WADA prohibited list and therefore is also prohibited under the program. Positive tests for non-specified substances carry a mandatory provisional suspension. On December 22, 2020, Ms. Yastremska was charged with an anti-doping rule violation under Article 2.1 of the program and was provisionally suspended with effect from today, January 7, 2021. Ms. Yastremska had the right to apply to the chair of the independent tribunal convened to hear her case, while the provisional suspension should not be imposed, but has chosen not to exercise that right to date. So that was the statement, and Dayana almost instantly posted one of her own to her IG story. Dear all, a few days ago, I have received a notice from the ITF that I was tested positive for mesterolone metabolite on November 24, 2020. I firmly state that I have never used any performance-enhancing drugs or any prohibited substances. I am astonished and under shock, particularly given that 2 weeks prior to this test, on November 9, 2020, I tested negative at the WTA event in Linz. After this last tournament of the year, I stopped practicing to rest prior to the start of the new season. Only a very low concentration of mesterolone metabolite was detected in my urine. Given that low concentration and given my negative test 2 weeks earlier, I have received scientific advice that the result is consistent with some form of contamination event. Besides, I have been informed that this substance is meant for use as a medication by men and that women are advised not to use it due to the adverse effects it causes. Due to the confidentiality of the proceedings, you will understand that I am not able to share any further information at this stage. However, I am currently working with my team, and you can be assured that I am resolutely determined to do everything to clear my name. Dayana. So she's basically saying that the drug got into her system because of contamination, which reminds me of when Sarah Irani said that her mother's cancer medicine fell into the pasta. The most recent high-profile WTA doping case was last year with Beatrice Haddad-Maia, who blamed contaminated substances on her positive result. I simply don't understand how these players are just happening to ingest contaminated substances. It's very fishy. Moreover, Dayana is also practically saying that this medicine is for men, so there's no reason why she needs to take it. Women aren't supposed to. I did some research on mesterolone, and apparently it's an anabolic steroid that can be used to improve physique and performance, although those aren't common uses due to its weak anabolic effects. Its side effects include symptoms of masculinization like acne, increased hair growth, voice changes, and increased sexual desire. I'm unsure of how long she's been taking mesterolone, but aside from her strong start to 2020, reaching the Adelaide final, she didn't make too much noise last year. The noise she did make wasn't because of her results, as she was accused of cheating with her suspicious medical timeout, had a blackface controversy, and failed music career. To me, the player that has been affected the most by this doping scandal other than Yastremska herself is Venus Williams. The two played in Cincinnati last year, and the American was playing well and was so close to winning, but the mesterolone probably helped Dayana make the extra push. You don't understand how that could have changed Venus's 2020 season. That one win alone could have boosted her rankings. Maybe she could have beat Pera in the next round, then Naomi Osaka, then won the whole tournament, then could have won the US Open or reached the finals like Azarenka did. You never know. So for Dayana to do this, to cheat, it's really, she owes Venus an apology, and I hope Venus gets her reparations. I'm just kidding, mostly, but there's one other interesting part of the story here. Dayana worked with Sasha Bayan at the start of 2020. Buying, of course, was the former hitting partner of Serena Williams and former coach of Naomi Osaka, among others. Now, many people suspect that Sasha tries to get his players to take performance-enhancing supplements, which is also why they believe Naomi split with him. I don't have anything to say about these speculations because I'm not trying to be sued. I'm inclined not to believe this, but it's very, very interesting nonetheless. Now, in other news, a week ago, Roger Federer withdrew from the 2020 Australian Open, presumably due to lack of preparation, but there might be a totally different explanation for the Swiss's absence. Roger hasn't played a match since last year's Australian Open and has undergone 2 knee surgeries since, one in February and the other in June. Despite some progress, Roger wasn't 100% committed to this year's first major, saying at the Switzerland Sports Awards that it had taken him longer than expected to recover from the second surgery. I would have hoped that I would be 100% in October, but I am still not today. It will be tight for the Australian Open. I hope that there will be something to see with me next year, 2021. If not, then that's an unbelievable endpoint. He of course later withdrew from the Open, tournament director Craig Tiley having this message on Roger's behalf. In the end, Roger ran out of time to get himself ready for the rigors of a Grand Slam, and he's very disappointed he won't be coming to Melbourne in 2021. We wish him all the best as he prepares for his comeback later in the year and look forward to seeing him in Melbourne in 2022. However, Andre Sa, a communicator for Tennis Australia and the players, revealed that he had a telephone conversation with the 20-time major champion in regards to the withdrawal. Sa, in an interview with Ace Band Sports, said, "The main reason was the quarantine. I talked to Roger a month ago and he had 2 options. He could come with the whole family and quarantine them. The problem is that Mirka, Federer's wife, and her children couldn't leave the room. They would have to stay 14 days in the room. The exception is only for players. He could go out, train, and come back, but the family couldn't. The other option would be for him to come alone," Sa continued. "Only there would be at least 5 weeks away from family and children." And then he said, "Dude, 39, 4 kids, 20 Grand Slams, I am no longer in time to be away from my family for 5 weeks. If you all didn't know, the Australian Open requires players to undergo a 2-week quarantine after entering the country. They can still go out and play, but their team and family cannot. I do understand where Roger and Mirka are coming from, not wanting the family to be stuck in the hotel for 2 weeks. Then the other option would be the family could stay home and be more comfortable, except they'd be 5 weeks apart from him, which is a long time, presumably the longest he'd ever been apart. However, I don't think the quarantine was 100% the reason why he pulled out. He told Tiley and the Switzerland Sports Awards that he wasn't yet ready, and I still don't believe he's ready to compete on the highest level, especially at a slam where conditions are difficult and there's best of 5. In regards to the quarantine matter, I don't think this will affect his participation at other tournaments. The Australian is far different from any other event, and that they're having more than 2 events go on and are requiring a strict 14-day quarantine. The US Open had the bubble. The French Open practically had neither. I do hope Federer fully recovers from the surgeries and can return to the tour as soon as possible."